Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentri. We're talking a little hardball today, folks. A big, shocking breaking news that happened over the weekend on Father's Day Sunday that the Boston Red Sox traded their fan favorite star slugger Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. We're going to get into kind of everything on the impact of the Red Sox on the Giants itself. My first initial reaction, Tyson, was like, whoa. Felt like it came out of nowhere. There was some rumors that this was going to happen. There was disgruntlement between the two sides. Devers obviously a little bit upset about what the franchise is asking him to do, what they did this offseason. But you don't follow necessarily a ton of baseball. Like, you're a Mets guy. But this was something that resonated throughout like entire Major League Baseball. Like, I'm curious, like, what your initial reaction was when this news broke.
Well, I texted you and I was like, is it the same guys in this? Is this Hicks, like who I think it is? Like, I was confused. If it didn't feel like enough, I was like, maybe something's changed. But we started just talking about it, and it's like, you think back to that 2018 Red Sox team, and it's like, what happened to all these guys? This team was loaded. And now Devers, obviously, I think he was the last one there from that World Series team, and now he's gone. There's been a lot of quotes from front offices. We're not taking pointed shots. That was one of them from Boston as far as like why it didn't work out. But look, they think they did what they needed to do, and we're going to get into all of that. But can I start here? The San Francisco Giants did it. They went after Shohei Ohtani. They went after Aaron Judge. They had Carlos Correa for like 15 minutes a couple years ago, and they finally got the guy, and they got a couple of them now to hit the ball. And Devers is obviously a fantastic hitter, but as I've been going through some of this stuff, like, he's hitting the ball better now, or at least reaching base better now than he has so far in his career. And look, it's huge. And not to mention, like, classic professional sports, he will not play first base in Boston. He gets to San Francisco and he goes, I'll try it out.
Yeah, no, hilarious. And so let's dive into this before we look at the Red Sox angle, before we look at the Giants angle. So what happened? If you're just missing this and you're on our page and you're like, oh, I'll listen to what these guys have to say. Devers was traded for reliever Jordan Hicks, left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison, number 4 overall prospect from the Giants, James Tibbs III. He was a 2024 first-round pick of them. And then a young right-hander, 𝐬𝐫𝐽𝐻, a pitcher down in the minors, 20 years old. Kyle Harrison was the number 1 prospect for a while for the Giants until he got called up. Hasn't quite lived up to that billing since he's been in the show. But, I mean, you look at his minor league numbers. They're insane with the strikeout stuff. Right now, he's really just a fastball pitcher. Was a reliever for a while for the Giants when he came up this year after he started the year down AAA. So it's be interesting to see what the Boston Red Sox can do with him, especially because they're away from fastballs and are going more off-speed stuff. So I'll be curious to see how that works out. But on the surface, you look at this. Jordan Hicks was a converted starting pitcher. That failed. The Giants put him back into the bullpen. If that's going to be a headliner for a major leaguer, that's pretty shocking. Again, I just talked about Harrison. That's surprising. Tibbs, we'll see. I mean, this is a guy who has a bright future, was a college player, supposed to move up the pipeline pretty quickly. But the Red Sox have a ton of outfielders. Like, it's kind of surprising there. That's your ask. I thought for sure they were going to get Bryce Eldridge, the superstar prospect for the Giants. To trade Devers and not get back Eldridge was shocking to me. And then low-level pitcher Bello, not quite sure what he's going to be. You know, he's not a top prospect for the Giants right now. He's a young guy, international free agent signing. So it's intriguing on the surface to see that this is all it took, in quotes, to get a guy like Rafael Devers.
Yeah, well, that's part of the fun of baseball trades anyways, is you get to squint and be like, well, if that guy ever makes it to the show and he's really good, then we won. And these things play out for 15 years sometimes before we find the end. But you mentioned, like, surprise at how little it took. Are we going to talk about this like maybe the way the Mookie Betts trade has been talked about? This is like, it's different people making the decisions, but it feels close.
It does. And that's like the whole thing with the Red Sox. And I think kind of let's dive into the angle here for them, because I know a lot of fans. I got a couple friends up in the Northeast who are Red Sox fans from the Massachusetts area. And, you live through the curse, and then you break it in 2004. And Tyson, you become the most successful franchise in baseball, winning 4 Major League World Series, 4 World Series in a 15-year span. But it's like there's always that clown show that's been bubbling underneath of the Red Sox. Last place finishes for 3 years in a row. You got Theo Epstein, who broke the curse, quitting like a year after it happened because he can't handle the ownership anymore. This guy who's the wonderkind, brings everything, the success that everybody wanted. They can't get along with the ownership group. Players getting shipped out. The beer and wings whole incident. Remember that? I mean, it's just a complete under-the-surface clown show that seems to always be bubbling for the Red Sox. And then you trade out Mookie Betts for a horrendous return package. Let's not forget the Chris Sale thing that they traded him for. Also a return package that looks terrible. At least on paper, you can kind of look at this, see what they want to do. But here's the reality. The Red Sox, they just can't help themselves. It's self-inflicted wound in the public perception after self-inflicted wound when it comes to their star players. Xander Bogaerts, they don't want to give him money. Now, it doesn't look like that was a bad decision based on how he's played in San Diego, but he was a beloved player in that city, beloved player of the franchise. They went a little cheap. Mookie Betts said he would have stayed. I don't know about the Chris Sale thing. It seemed like that thing kind of sailed. All they had to do with Devers here was handle this better. I don't think they should have not went after Alex Bregman, but you probably should have approached your franchise guy that you just gave a mega deal to 2 years ago that, hey, man, we know we have some concerns with your shoulder. Would you be open to being a designated hitter? Be open to playing first base? Would you be open to it instead of just be like, oh, we just made this move after we told you weren't going after anybody? Like, this is insane. And now they're in this mess, Tyson, where we're looking at the Red Sox like, what the hell is going on over there?
And what do you like? What does that show Roman Anthony? You know, like these other guys on the, like, that's kind of lost sometimes in professional sports. It's like, are these guys now like, are they getting like extended early, or do they want to play in Boston? Like, there's you know, ripple effects that can be felt. Devers is 28 years old, and he might be entering the prime of his career. The general manager, I think, said something to the effect of the whole wasn't greater than the sum of the parts, I think was the quote, which is why he wanted to move on. But it's like, brother, you built the shed. Like, the parts in there are pissed off at you for bringing other parts in there. Like, there's, I mean, and the whole Bregman thing, like, how's this all going to play out? You know, it just, there's short side. It felt like maybe somebody's feelings got hurt here, Brad.
Oh, they definitely did. I mean, John Henry, the owner, and I kind of want to throw a little conspiracy theory that's going around here, which maybe it's not too out of left field, to be completely honest with you. But this is a guy, you know, it's huge ego. I mean, everybody, if you're an owner of any professional sport, does. I mean, you don't get to that point being a business mogul, real estate guy, whatever, tech mogul, whatever, unless you don't have an ego. So this was something that, and this is according to Jeff Pass and a bunch of other insiders that have really done like a deep dive and kind of an autopsy on the situation. When Devers publicly called out the organization, John Henry like got on his private jet and flew out and met him personally, and felt like things were kind of smoothed over. But then the last straw, according to Buster Olney, was that Christian Campbell, who did sign that early extension, their star prospect, who's actually now sent down to AAA, which is pretty funny, or a coincidence. He's like, yeah, I'll volunteer to play first base. Guy's an outfielder by trade, played in the infield, or an infielder by trade, played in the outfield because they needed somebody. Then said, I'll play first base. Apparently, Devers got pissed. And then that was when the Red Sox like, you know what? We're done with this situation. We tried. This is all we can do here. Whether that's accurate, that's one side of the story. This is what somebody's telling them. But it does show to show you that there was dysfunction throughout this entire situation. And Tyson, I agree with you. Getting back this return, you ship out Devers. Alex Bregman, now maybe he wants to opt back in after this hamstring injury. We'll see. But he was looking and trending like he was going to opt out and go into free agency again. You had this mess with Devers. Like, this entire last 6 months has been a mess in Boston.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. And there are, you know, one of the most popular, you know, organizations in all of sports, and they're going to survive this, and butts will be in seats and they'll make money regardless. But it's like the product that's being put on the field over and over again has been strange, to say the least. And then the timing of this too for Boston felt weird to me, and I'm not as tuned in as you are, but coming off of a sweep of the Yankees, we got Devers at the podium saying all that stuff's in the past, and then, you know, hour and a half later, get on a flight.
I know, it's super strange, especially because like they're saying, well, we traded Devers, but it doesn't mean we're going to be sellers. It's like, what do you mean? I mean, it's just a strange situation all around there. And the John Henry thing, a lot of people are saying, because he's part of Fenway Group, they own Liverpool. They signed the wonderkind from Bayer Leverkusen and Florian Wirtz, and for a lucrative deal too. And it's like, hey, do we need to expound some money, get our money off our Red Sox books so we can go cover the Liverpool thing, which is the entire thing. I think when a lot of people are talking about these holding groups, and Tyson are going to cover kind of what happened with the Lakers, because that's an interesting thing. But when you have your hands in different pots and you got to cover here and cover here, it's hard for you to be all in on one thing. Now, we're fans of the Eagles. It's pretty easy for us because Jeffrey Lurie loves the Philadelphia Eagles. He puts all his attention into the Eagles, and we kind of know that he's got his attention fully on the Eagles. I'm a Sixers fan. That's not the case. The Sixers are going cheap over Josh Harris. Oh, he's all of a sudden interested in the Commanders. And so not saying that there's conflict of interest, but it's like, what's going on here when you have other things going on?
Those, like Josh Harris is a good example in maybe a different way, because those are salary cap sports. And so, like, it's even a little different there, where he doesn't have to play the game, so to speak, the same way. I mean, Reinsdorf would be like the classic one as far as, the Bulls just traded 2 second-round picks for the White Sox got something cooking, and it was always kind of easy to tell. But when you own unsalary cap teams in different sports, maybe.
Yeah. So kind of people are going to want to know, what do you think about this? I think if you're the Red Sox, even if it was festering under the surface, this is a crazy deal, man. I mean, Kyle Harrison, if he lives up to his potential, okay, maybe you have a left-handed ace, and you to pair with Garrett Crochet, who you gave a big extension to, or gave a big deal to after you traded him this offseason, so that will work. Hicks, he's going to be on the back end. You get a high-end bullpen guy, okay, that's fine. The prospect thing is listen, people love prospects because it's like a hope for the future.
Yeah.
Just listen to what Clayton Kershaw said when he talked about this. He's like, who's Tibbs? Oh, he's good in college. He's like, I don't care about that. Oh, no, I don't care. Like, what did you done in the show? Because that's how it is. Like, all these guys, how many times highly touted prospect, this and that, and the Red Sox should know better than anybody because they got back these highly touted prospects and the deals that they asinine traded their star players for, and they didn't pan out. And so I think it's a joke.
Some of them don't even touch the bigs, man.
Yeah, and so that's our synopsis on the Red Sox angle. For the Giants, this is a freaking home run. I mean, my goodness.
Shout out Buster Posey, dude. I mean, good for you, and I made the comment at the beginning, like, they've been swinging on all these big stars and stuff, but they have spent a lot of money, especially on this infield. And if adding a bat, like, this team needs offense. Let's just start here. How do you feel about the NL West? Is this like, what the fuck?
It's like, man, the Dodgers are really good, and they're doing this without pitching. Padres are just front loaded, and dude, AJ Preller might be the best GM in sports. Just what he does, it's insane. And the Giants, they coming into the season, Tyson, they're like, we weren't as bad as we were last year. We kind of got some unlucky breaks. I was like, sure. And then the other shoe drops, and they actually are performing much better. Bob Melvin's a great manager. The Diamondbacks, they're disappointing comparatively. Are they getting boosted up by the Rockies, though? That's the thing that we've got to think about. But I do think it's a great division.
Well, I mean, how do you, like, if you're Colorado, you're looking around, you're just going, we're never going to win more than 40 games.
I know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, shout out Buster Posey, Tyson. I think this is the hilarious thing. He was telling everybody, oh, we're just not going to be that aggressive before the deadline this year. We like
he
our
wasn't
team.
that
and the
aggressive.
Guy pulls off. That's true. That's true. He didn't mortgage the farm, apparently. He kept his best prospect. It's unbelievable. And they add this. Now, here's the thing. There's some people talking like, oh, well, are they going to have to trade Matt Chapman because, they don't really have a place for him? I don't see Devers being their third baseman. I mean, you don't go from having Adames, who's a question mark, but it's covered over there on the left side of the infield because you have Chapman to go in Adames and Devers. Like, that's a horrendous left side of the infield defensively. So if he could be your first baseman of the future, or even your DH going forward, I think that's what you're looking at. Even though he is expensive, it's a $313.5 million salary on his books.
Yeah, that's an expensive DH. But first base is Dom Smith right now for the Giants.
Yeah. But Eldridge is supposed to be coming up, and so they were trying to keep it open for him. But it's a prospect. Who knows?
look, if Devers is okay with playing first, unless that was lip service, this is what they do. These like all these people, the professional athletes, they get on these new teams and then they say they give lip service at the press conference, and then 2 months later, we're gonna get a story that's like Devers hates playing first base. He hates it in San Francisco, all this stuff. But that's like the positional need, and if he can fill that, it's fantastic for them. And yeah, it's an expensive designated hitter, but it's one of the best ones that money can buy. So get the offense anyways. I like it's a no-brainer.
This is a franchise too, Tyson. They haven't had a 30-plus home run hitter since Barry Bonds in I think 2004.
Yeah, it's been 21 years.
21 years, and we're talking about this sport like you got to hit the long ball. It's all analytically driven to hit the long ball. This team can't do it. Now it's a tough ballpark to play, so why not go out and get somebody who can hit the long ball? Like this is a home run. I mean, I just could not believe the package they gave up to get a guy like this. Now, maybe the Red Sox know something, and Tibbs turns into the next elite guy, and Harrison turns into their ace, like I said. This Bello kid, coming down the line, he's elite for him. You going to take that risk for the Giants? No, give me the sure thing, and it's not like he's a rental. Like, you get him for the next freaking 8 years. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy, and these contracts are going to get bigger and bigger, and we're going to look down and be like, it's really not that bad. Like, AAV-wise, it's fine for what he's producing, and as more of these nerd stats come out and we see some of the crazy things that Devers is doing, dude, he's on base 40% of the time. Like, what else do you want in a baseball player, at the plate? There is no, like, what's the downside? We talked about this to compare it to the NFL, like with the George Pickens thing. It was like, the downside is like, he throws a fit, everybody hates each other, but then the Cowboys get to blow it up. What is the downside here? Because it's not like they're not going to be able to get off of him if they need to.
I think the downside is just the payroll. Like, are you able to fill out the rest of your roster? Because you are pretty top heavy now with Adames, Chapman, if they keep him, which I think they will, and Devers. So you're kind of banking on, and they have a bad farm system. So it's not like you got guys coming up the ranks where it's like, well, this young guy can potentially fill over and right. It's like, man,
they could use a guy like Tibbs.
They could use a guy like Tibbs, right? If they held on to him, or this would be insane. I don't know how happy people would be if they flip Eldridge. God, that solves your entire issue because now you get your prospects back. So there's some things that Buster Posey has to do. Now he has a 3-year contract as the president of baseball ops. So I think he's here for a good time. I don't know how long the time he's going to be here for. So he's like, dude, if I can win as an exec too, not only am I punching my ticket as a player, I mean, can I double dip here?
I think let him in anyways. I mean, this is start giving him the John Lynch treatment. Would you people? Every time John Lynch does anything, everyone's like, this is the best general manager in the NFL. We need Buster Posey to get some of that respect. Brad, is this going to be the biggest trade of the MLB deadline?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. And I think leading into it, and this will be a tease, kind of how we get out of here on our first baseball episode of the year, and barring some other stuff that happens. I think it's going to be an interesting deadline. I do think there are going to be some aggressive teams. There are going to be some teams that don't do much, but I think it's going to be an active one where we see some even people in position of the playoffs, potentially the Cardinals, potentially even the Padres. They sell off some expiring contracts, Tyson. So I think we're going to have a lot to discuss leading into it.
Who's the biggest name that you expect to be? Is it Sandy?
Yeah, but he hasn't performed that well.
Right.
So there's some rumors that the Marlins potentially even hold on to him. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Padres, depending on what happens there, because Preller is just insane. So if he's like going to be aggressive, he can maybe flip Michael King, get like 6 guys back, and they're all going to be stars. Like, I don't know, but I don't know if the Rangers decide to sell. They got some guys that think that could be interesting. And so you can look around the league. It's hard to tell right now with about a month out because there's only like 3 teams that are like pretty much eliminated. But it should be an interesting one. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's exciting. I think, sometimes the baseball deadline comes and goes, and it's like, wait, this is really, we're refreshing. I'm refreshing and refreshing. And it's just swapping prospects until 4 p.m. But it's the middle of June, and we got stars on the move.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, that's going to do it for our hardball episode. Like, subscribe, and share. We got a ton of content coming up for you in the summer months. Like, basketball's pretty much done. We'll wrap the Game 7, wrap the finals. We got the NBA draft coming next week. Maybe a synopsis, kind of some big free agency trades or free agency additions that we got on the hard court. But baseball, I think I'm getting Tyson back in only because his Mets are good. So I can't take
I'm fair weather.
Uncle Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Steve Cohen, restilling my faith, and he's gonna end spectacularly as it always does, and I'll be crying on this on video.
Well, I'm a Phillies fan, so we're going to be in an arms race, Tyson. We're both going to be disappointed because the Dodgers just steamroll both of our teams. So that's all going to go. Well, anyway, long way of saying like, subscribe, and share the show. We got a ton of content coming out for you guys. Should be fun this summer as we get ready for football season. We get you covered on that front as we start diving into that type of content. But anyway, we got Lakers talk, new ownership, and then how about USC? Speaking of football, going crazy on the recruiting trail. We'll talk about that too. So we'll talk to you when we talk to you. Peace.